Hello, today I'm going to talk about how host countries can help refugees. I'll be looking at the possible solutions for this problem from a political point of view, and my fellow group members, Shania and Nick, will look at it from a cultural and economical point of view. Um, about 65.5 million people are in search of shelter because they are forcibly displaced, and 22.5 million of those 65.5 million people are refugees in search of safety and a bright future across the globe. But the problem is that many see them as a threat or do not know how we can benefit from them as we would help them. So the question is, how can we, as a host country, help the refugees, and then in a political way? Okay, some facts and figures. Because it's such a relevant topic, we can apply our question and thus our problem both globally but also locally. So when we zoom into the Netherlands, we see here from January 2014 up until March 2017, we see the asylum requests that the Netherlands got. And a lot of them were in the mid of 2015, and that is also known as the refugee crisis or the refugee problem that we were dealing with back then. We were not prepared for this, but still we needed to handle with it. You can also see that most of these came from Syria. As you see the red line, and that's also because of the war that was going on there. So they do really need a safe place to stay. But social and political differences between member countries made it really difficult for a more pronounced solution that is the same for everyone. So, as I said before, we can apply this topic locally as well. So when we look at the Netherlands and we look at our government, it is formed from four political parties: the VVD, the D66, the CDA, and the ChristenUnie. These four parties they all have really different views on the topic of refugees. And that makes it really interesting because they are the ones that make up the laws as well, or they think of them, and that's why it's really interesting. For example, the VVD states that yes, we should help people that are fleeing from their country because it's not safe anymore, but we should make sure that they are really in an unsafe territory where they are living, and we should improve the situation there rather than taking them here. And then you have the D66 and the CDA. They both state that we have a moral duty to help them, but yet D66 also says that there's no difference between a Dutch person and a Dutch asylum seeker, so we should not make a difference between the laws and between the things that they can and cannot do between them all. The ChristenUnie welcomes refugees openly, like with open arms, but they do need to stick to the norms and values that we have here in the Netherlands. Okay, application globally. As for the geographical distribution of the 25.5 million refugees, the estimate is that 40% are in Asia, 27% in Europe, slightly over 25% in Africa, 5% in North America, and just under 3% in Latin America. Given the dimensions of problems described above, it is no surprise that national governments are engaged in an ongoing discussion about this as well. And over here you see that 55% of the worldwide refugees are coming from South Sudan, Afghanistan, and mostly from Syria, as we could also see in the graph from the Netherlands as well. As I said, there are ongoing solutions, discussions about how we should handle this crisis and how we should tackle the problem. There are 5 reasons to do this, and the first one is legal protection. We should make sure that there's a lot of legal protection. Arguably, the principal and most enduring international policy issue, a matter of protection. The responsibility to protect is grounded in the principle that the states adhere to, and you can also find that in the UN Security Council responsibility for maintenance of international peace and security under Article 24. So this is really something that we should adhere to. Furthermore, we should provide humanitarian aid, handling combatants, mass flight, and non-refoulement. But those are not really the political standpoints that I was, that is, yeah. So the problem, as I said, there are a lot of problems because of somewhat unclearness of the current migration system and migration laws, and that need to be improved. And since the refugee crisis in 2015, especially in Europe, there have been a lot of debates about what to do. So the bad communication between multiple countries, host countries in the EU, made it difficult for a good migration policy. The laws and policies were very unclear, and to prevent this unclarity from happening again, we should make sure that everybody have a strict set of rules concerning this migration system. As Jens Spahn also told, he's a minister, we need to establish European asylum laws with clearly defined rules and comparable levels of assistance to support those who temporarily need our help. And this is something that we should really do. Also, there needs to be a strict selection procedure to make sure that we help the people who are in need of help the most first. And that is something that we also need to stick to, and that could be a solution to our problem. But as to refer back to our question as to how we can help refugees once they've reached their host countries, we should implement that they are given the right to basic human needs, such as food, water, medical care, and should be treated really good as well, so that they can integrate well. This is a crucial part of the integration of these people, because depriving refugees of their basic human needs will not help us or them. So to conclude, in order to help the refugees in their host countries, we should make sure that clearly undefined laws should be laid down into acts, and this should include the asylum procedure plus the rights to basic human needs. This may in some countries already be implemented, however, to make sure that it is used to the full extent, it should be at least a EU policy. And these are the sources that I used. Thank you for listening, and bye.